All right, I think I've got time for one more. Okay, so this person says, when I first met my partner, I didn't know anything about consciousness or spiritual growth. During our time together, he has opened my mind and heart to so many things, and I'm so grateful to him. Lately, a friction has come into our love that I'm having trouble rising above. As I've grown in consciousness, I've discovered things in myself that are different from what my partner believes. We try and talk about it, but I end up feeling unheard and like he is trying to tell me something, in inverted commas, tell me something. My question is, what do you do when your truths diverge? Okay. Well, there's quite a bit in that. It's common, actually. It's a common kind of thing. I think it starts with, for me anyway, the fact that like I don't take communication for granted at all. And I don't think I'm having the same experience as anyone else. I don't think I'm having a different experience. I just don't know. And I don't assume anything, which makes you sound like a crazy person when I get right into it. But for me, it's the beginning of like dropping a lot of assumptions about communication means that any communication that happens, I think it's brilliant. I think it's amazing. Rather than kind of going, why does no one understand me? Why doesn't my partner understand me? Why can't, the fact that they understand anything I say, I think is amazing. Because, as I say, it feels like, the fact that I only experience my life through my eyes and my body, I think that's pretty significant. And I don't assume that it's the same for other people just because they look like me and because they tell me that, oh yeah, that's the same for me. That's not where we connect. We connect behind the scenes, but in this thing, no, we don't connect in that way. The fact that you had this beautiful feeling of communication and that you're on the same wavelength, that's, in my experience, that's the exception rather than the norm. And it's almost like your two reality bubbles were quite close together and similar. And you're able to get quite a lot across the membrane separating the two of you in communication. And now they're not so close together. But that doesn't necessarily mean, things are bad or you should break up or anything like that. It just means that you're both more conscious of the fact that you're not in the same space, because you never were in the same space. It just felt like you were, because there was, back and forth communication, because one of the things, like I've said this before, like most of what goes on in existence, it's not that important for me because it disappears every night, There's only two things I've come across that are real and are coming from the mystery or coming from beyond existence. And that's communication and love. And they're both kind of the same thing. So it's one of the reasons, I think, why we come into existence, why I came into existence, is to communicate. So it's not to be taken lightly or to be, to be expected that you what leaves you is going to arrive the way you intended. I mean, get into a fight with somebody that you care about and you'll see that, you'll say X, Y, and Z, and they'll go, how dare you say A, B, C to me? And you go, but I didn't say A, B, C, I said X, Y, Z. Like, no, you didn't, you said A, B, C. And you're like, how could they think I said A, B, C? You're really hurt. But that's because you've got an expectation that when it leaves you, it's going to arrive exactly the same way. You just go through the membrane between the two of you, and you can get filtered and changed. That's why that Imago method of communication for couples, IMAGO, is so good, because it's really basic, and it's like a way of couples who are having trouble communicating with each other. It's a way of talking, and mostly it's about, I'm going to, it's my turn to talk, right? I'm going to say ABC, and then the person I'm talking to says, so if I understand what you said right, you've just said X, Y, and Z. And you go, no, I said ABC. And I go, oh, okay, so I've understood what you said. And then they keep going back and forth until it's the same. And it's respectful and it's quiet, and and the person who's listening to you will go, now, is there anything else you have to say about ABC? And you keep saying until it's all done, and they'll keep reflecting it back to you. And it's a way of just getting around that assumption, because it's like, I'm not going to assume that the person, just because I said it in plain language, that they're going to get it in plain language. So yeah, I mean, it's understandable, particularly from the way your question has been phrased, and that you're both conscious and you're going into consciousness. I mean, you can't just, this is like, you can't mess with this stuff and not have it change you. You can't go into consciousness. You can't go into your spiritual life consciously and remain the same, So it's lovely to go into love together and to go into consciousness together, but it will change you. And it sounds like you're at the point now where, I mean, initially it sounds, just from what you said, that your partner was kind of like, I know about this stuff, and I'm going to tell you all about it. And you were transformed by that, and that's beautiful. But it's kind of what I've been saying about the time of the guru is over and the time of the spiritual teacher is over. We're all helping each other home now, or we're all the guru and we're all the spiritual teacher. So there'll come a point where you're sort of, you're under your own steam in your journey into yourself. And, of course you're going to see things differently to your partner, because you're a different person. You're having a different experience. And that's one of the great things. Like, differences in relationship are not, a sign of problems. They're a sign of like opportunities to grow. And it's great. I mean, it's one of the reasons to be together, is a different perspective, Like I was talking about painting earlier on. It's a good example. You can be sort of painting and think, oh, I think I've got it sorted. But it's great to have somebody else come in and go, well, her nose is too big. Or why is her leg too long? Or you're like, what? Because you're just so close to it. You haven't been able to see it. And it's the same in the spiritual life and consciousness. The fact that you're both descending into love and consciousness more and more and more, you got to highlight other things. So if your partner is trying to tell you something, if anyone is trying to tell you something, but if your partner is trying to tell you something, you can listen, and you can be open to hear what they're saying. But if it doesn't resonate with you and you don't get it, you don't get it. And if they start to get upset, well, that's more to do with them. There's something going on for them where they're sort of invested in, it's like all this stuff I'm saying, I keep saying it. Like, I don't know if this is true. It's true for me, but, maybe it's not true for you. I'm not, and if somebody's like, oh, that's bullshit, what are you talking about? It's like, fine. It doesn't change. Like, I don't need anyone to believe what I'm saying, I'm more just sharing. Now, this is my perspective. These are the things that I've come across, but I don't need anyone to believe it. And it's not even like, well, you better believe what I say, because if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. It's like, well, maybe you won't. I don't want anyone to be in trouble, and I don't. If somebody figures out a quicker way to do things, great. So if your partner is, you feel like you're being told, I mean, you can say that to them. I feel like you're telling me something. You can share it with me. You can say, this is your experience. But if that tips into you must believe this, no, those days are gone. Or, you know, spiritual kind of superiority of like, oh, you're not conscious enough yet. You know, no, that's bullshit. So your question is, what do we do? What do you do when your truths diverge? They were always diverged. They just were kind of close together for a while, but you didn't merge. You didn't share the same experience. You know, you're still having your own separate little bubbles. You're just close together, but you're going deeper into something, a big thing, you know, like a big, powerful, that's got the power of the universe behind it. So of course it's going to change you. And the great thing is, you can share that. You know, it's like, well, this is what it looks like from over here. Like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Well, this is what it looks like from over here, rather than, oh, look, what it looks, you know, I've got the truth over here. I don't know what you're doing over there. If you get into that, no. And I've had this experience. It's very possible to love somebody and be with somebody and for them to be in a very different space to you. And if you are respectful and not trying to convince each other that the other is wrong, you can be there, you know, and you can continue the dance, and you can stay together, and you can report back from your very different positions, and it's all beautiful. But if your partner is trying to tell you and you're feeling unheard, no, that's good. I mean, just from what you said, I mean, I'm only getting your side of the story, of course, but it sounds like you need to have a bit of a conversation with your partner and update him to the new reality that you've changed, you've grown, that you're not his student. I mean, I don't know what it is about men, but we seem to like to be the master. I don't mean the master and women, you know, but the spiritual master, the teacher. You know, I've got something to tell you. But I'm sure, you know, if you just explain that to him, that is not the case, that you're very grateful to him, but that doesn't mean, you know, you have to give him loyalty. I mean, you know, like loyal to his word that whatever he says is true. Of course not. Sure, everyone's got their 10% or more unconscious that they're working through, you know. So, and, you know, I mean, spiritual teachers, good ones, yeah, they've only got about 10%, but that can really mess you up, as I've talked about before. But, you know, your average kind of person who's not a spiritual teacher is probably around 50% or more, you know. So we're all working through our stuff and working and refining our unconsciousness. So it's fine to, and if someone says they're not, well, that's their unconsciousness talking, probably, you know. So yeah, I think a bit of gentle updating with your partner, and it's fine. You know, things change, and you know, feelings change, and you know, your relationship can grow and deepen and change. And once you don't have any assumptions about it, you've got the best chance of getting the most out of it.